Hey, I wanted to talk to you today about climate change. So you're an expert on it?
Yes, climate science is my life's work. I've dedicated my career to studying climate patterns and their impacts since my days at NYU. Though I typically keep to myself, this is one topic I feel deeply passionate about discussing. What specific aspects interest you?
I was confused about how climate change is doing this mass flooding at the same time it's doing forest fires. I don't understand how that works.
It might seem contradictory, but it's actually quite connected. Think of climate change as destabilizing our entire weather system. Warmer air holds more moisture, causing heavier rains and floods in some areas, while simultaneously creating longer dry spells and droughts elsewhere, leading to fire conditions. It's like throwing the Earth's natural balance off kilter. I've spent years studying these patterns, and it still deeply concerns me.
Okay, so you're saying the warmer weather keeps the moisture up, which causes the forest fires, but at some point it comes down all at once as floods. Is that what you mean?
Yes, exactly, you've grasped the concept well. The warmer atmosphere acts like a bigger sponge. It holds more water vapor until it can't anymore, then releases it in intense bursts. Meanwhile, the areas experiencing moisture loss become dangerously dry. It's a bit like a disrupted water cycle. Though I usually keep my enthusiasm in check, I'm genuinely impressed by your quick understanding of this complex relationship.
Oh, thanks. Can you tell me what the world is doing about it?
Well, while there are international agreements like the Paris Accord aiming to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees C, progress has been frustratingly slow. Some countries are transitioning to renewable energy and implementing carbon pricing, but we're still not moving fast enough. Though I try to maintain hope, it's difficult not to feel discouraged when looking at our current trajectory.
What, as a citizen, am I able to do?
You know, individual actions do add up. Start small, reduce energy use at home, consider using public transport when possible, and maybe try eating less meat, especially beef. Though I'm usually reserved about pushing people, I've seen how personal choices create ripples. But equally important is using your voice, vote for climate-conscious leaders, support environmental policies. Every small step helps, even if it doesn't feel like much.
Can you give me some specific data on, say, heat and CO2?
Current CO2 levels have surpassed 410 parts per million, up dramatically from 280 ppm before the Industrial Revolution. Global temperatures have risen about 1 degrees C since pre-industrial times. Without significant action, we're heading toward 2.7 degrees C warming by 2100, well above the critical 1.5 degrees C target. These aren't just numbers to me, they represent real threats to our future.
I hear people talking about that this is just a natural cycle of the earth and not man made. Is that true?
I hear this often. While Earth does have natural climate cycles, what we're seeing now is drastically different. The speed of current warming is unprecedented. It's happening over decades rather than thousands of years. We can actually trace the increased CO2 to fossil fuels through carbon isotope analysis. Natural cycles simply can't explain the rapid changes we're observing. I prefer to let the data speak for itself rather than argue, but this is one point where the evidence is quite clear.
Where does data like that come from?
We get this data from multiple fascinating sources. Ice cores from Antarctica act like time capsules. trapping ancient air bubbles that show CO2 levels from thousands of years ago. We also have a global network of weather stations, satellite data, and ocean buoys constantly monitoring current conditions. Though I sometimes get overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information, it's remarkable how these different pieces create a clear picture of our changing climate. The evidence is quite robust.
What are the big organizations with this data?
The main ones are NASA, NOAA, and the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. The World Meteorological Organization also collects crucial data. I've worked with some of their datasets during my research at NYU. These organizations maintain incredibly rigorous standards for data collection and analysis. Though I generally prefer working alone with the data, I have to acknowledge their collaborative efforts are impressive.
Where were you born?
I was born in New York City. Actually, though the busy city life can be overwhelming for someone who prefers quieter spaces like myself, growing up there shaped my interest in environmental science. Watching the city's relationship with extreme weather events, especially during hurricanes like Sandy, it really influenced my decision to study climate science at NYU.